Good morning.
Good.
Why do we have this fear of speaking in public?
Well, it used to be in America that the number one fear was people just afraid of dying. That in 2005, though, they did a survey and they found out that Americans who had to give a speech in public fear that more than actually dying. So I had a slogan in my beginning public speech class that was, if you stayed the whole semester, that I could teach you how to overcome death. So 4 of my colleagues and I decided that we would write a textbook regarding the fear of public speaking. And so that's what we did. It's called From Fright to Might. And we have tools in there to help us overcome those fears that we find. And the number one most stated fear is that of stage fright. People are afraid because of somewhere along the line, and sometimes it was unintentional and maybe it was intentional, but usually unintentional, someone told us that we weren't a good communicator. I mean, it could have been something as simple as a small spelling bee that we were in and somebody laughed, or maybe we were doing a research presentation in school, someone giggled, or it could have been when we were reading out loud or actually doing a speech or a presentation. I call speeches presentations, like at our church. So people somehow, by saying something to us, made us afraid to try to do it again. And I think that the number one thing is, if we go away today knowing, is that we should know that communication is a learned process. And that means that no one is born a great public speaker. The more that we do speech and the more speeches we give, the better we get.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm enthralled because I believe it's absolutely true. So when you're working on your presentation skills, what advice do you give?
You know, the most important thing that I give is that it's practice what you're going to say. Practice, practice, practice. My competitive speech students, we would start out at the beginning of the year, and by the time we got to national finals, they had given that speech over 1,000 times. They knew that speech. They were real with that speech. So ultimately, the better you get is because you're saying something over and you're practicing it. So practice it. That's the best thing. And then
you talk about fear number 2. Do people actually say this? I don't want to be a public speaker because I don't have anything important to discuss.
You know, they say it all the time. And if they don't say it, that's one of the reasons that they're not doing it. Some people don't realize that we all have a story to tell. We all have important things in our lives that other people want to know about. So if we can get people to understand that they all have something important to say. It could be a special talent that we have that we can share with other people, or a hobby. Other people would find that hobby fascinating. I have one particular example that I love to share, and that was one summer class. I was teaching public speaking at the college during summer, and it happened to be a summer when the Olympics was in Los Angeles. And one of the students stayed after class, and I told them that they had to do a speech on how to do something. They had to explain how to do something. And he said, I don't have anything to say. I'm boring. I'm not an exciting person. And I don't think I've ever done anything that people would really enjoy me talking about. And I happened to mention, well, the Olympics are here in LA. So what about that? And he goes, well, I don't know. He goes, I didn't go to the Olympics. And I said, well, okay. Well, he said, but I participated in it. I go, you mean you participated in the Olympics and you don't think that's important? And he said, well, it was just something that I did. And I said, so you were actually in the Olympics? I think that people would love to know that. And he said, well, I played soccer in the Olympics. And I said, you played in the Olympics? I said, that would be a great topic to tell us about. And it was funny because he ended his speech, and this is how humble people are. He said, his last words were, and I won a gold medal in the Olympics. Now here's somebody who won a gold medal in the Olympics who didn't think that he had anything to share with anyone.
Well, when you find that something that you care about and that you love, a topic will arise for sure, and you can get excited about it.
Absolutely, and you have to know that people who have messages, they love that message. You have to be interested in your topic. And it's, again, I relate it always back to, selling houses, people buying homes. A lot of people have a fear of, what if I buy and it doesn't work out? Well, other fear would be, what if I don't buy and it worked out for everybody but me? So again,
change the question, exactly. You'll get a much different answer.
Absolutely.
And if people have questions about their fears of overcoming real estate, whether it's buying or selling, you can get a hold of Ron Real today, owner of Pacific Ocean Properties Brookings and Real Properties in Crescent City. And what's your website one more time?
PacificOceanProperties.org.
Ron, it's always a pleasure. Keep it real, my friend, until we chat next Wednesday.
All right, see you next week.
Bye-bye.